Once upon a time in the city of Abempi, a girl named Titi lived in a small one-room flat with her aunt. Her parents had passed away when she was little, and her aunt took her in, not out of love, but out of duty. Titi was the kind of girl who always smiled, even when her heart was breaking. She dreamed of being a fashion designer. She would sketch clothes in her school books and sew little dresses from old pillowcases. But nobody really took her dream seriously. Especially Ben. Ben was her childhood friend and neighbor. They walked to the same school, fetched water from the same tap, and sometimes shared leftover rice on Sunday afternoons. But something changed when they got older. The boy who used to help her carry books started laughing at her ideas. He would call her Titi Taylor and giggle when she showed him her cloth sketches. One day, Titi came to him with excitement. She had entered a school design competition, using scraps and borrowed needles to sew a simple but smart dress. She believed in it. She believed in herself. But Ben just looked at her dress, laughed, and said, "This looks like something my grandma would wear to sweep the compound." The laughter cut deep. Titi went home that evening and cried into her pillow. She wished she had someone who would see what she saw, someone who wouldn't laugh. But in that room with a leaking roof and a torn mosquito net, all she had was silence. Still, she didn't stop dreaming. Titi's 18th birthday came on a quiet Saturday. Her aunt forgot. There was no cake, no card, no hug. She didn't expect much, just a little kindness. Ben came around that morning with his friends. They were loud, teasing, laughing, shouting as they passed her yard. Titi came out to greet them, hoping Ben might say something nice. But instead, he shouted, "Hey Titi. I hope your sketches bought you a cake and a sewing machine." The boys burst into laughter. Titi's smile dropped. She turned away quickly, hiding her wet eyes. They didn't know how much she had been saving to buy a machine. It wasn't just a tool, it was her escape. Later that night, she sat under the moonlight sketching a dress made of gold fabric, the kind she had never touched before. She imagined herself walking into a room full of lights, models wearing her designs. It felt real, until her aunt called from inside. "Titi. Come wash my feet." She packed her book quietly and went inside. No one knew how tired she was. No one cared. And in the house next door, Ben played loud music and laughed with his friends. The next week, something unexpected happened. A new family moved into the compound. They were quiet people, a woman, her husband, and a boy about Titi's age named Depo. He wore glasses and always carried books. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his voice was soft like morning rain. One evening, Titi was sketching under the mango tree behind the house. She didn't see Depo walk up. "Did you draw that?" he asked. She jumped. Then slowly nodded. He looked at the drawing for a long time. "It's beautiful," he said. "Is that your brand name at the bottom?" Titi blushed. She had written Titi Threads in tiny letters. Nobody had noticed that before. Not even Ben. From that day, Depo would sit with her after chores and ask about her designs. He didn't laugh. He didn't mock. He asked real questions: "Why did you use a high collar?" or "What inspired this color?" One afternoon, as Ben walked past them, he scoffed and said, "Look at Lovebird sewing clothes." Titi's hand froze. But Depo just looked at Ben and said, "At least she's building something." "What are you doing?" That was the first time someone had defended her. And in that small moment, something began to shift in Titi's heart. Someone had finally seen her, not just her pain, but her potential. Titi started spending more evenings outside, not because she wanted to escape the heat in the room, but because she felt safer under the tree where Depo listened. One evening, she brought out her sketchbook to show him her latest work, a full wedding gown made from soft lines and dreams. Depo smiled gently. "This design can win a real prize," he said. Titi looked down. "I don't even have a sewing machine." "I'll help," he said. "My uncle runs a small printing shop. I can ask him to scan and print your sketches for a portfolio." That night, Titi held her sketchbook like a treasure. Someone believed in her enough to want to help. For once, it felt like she could breathe without struggling. But trouble was near. 2 days later, Titi came home from the market to find her sketchbook gone. Her heart dropped. She turned her room upside down, checked every corner. Nothing. She ran to the backyard and found pieces of torn paper floating in the drainage. Some were soaked. Some were burned. Her name, Titi Threads, was still visible on one damp page. Ben sat on a stool nearby, scrolling through his phone. He didn't look up. Titi couldn't speak. Her throat closed. She picked up the pieces, crying quietly. Later that night, Blessing, her neighbor, whispered to her, "I saw Ben with your sketchbook yesterday. He said you were wasting your time drawing nonsense." Titi didn't sleep. She stayed up thinking, shaking, but not breaking. The next morning, Titi wrote herself a letter. It was the only way she knew how to stop her heart from tearing. She wrote, "Dear future Titi, I don't know how long you have to cry before someone sees the gold in you. But I believe you'll make it. I know the pain is big now, but I believe the joy will be bigger. Keep designing. Keep dreaming. Don't let Ben's laughter bury you. Someone will clap for you one day. Love. Titi." She folded the letter and tucked it inside her bag. That day, she went to Depo and told him everything. About the sketchbook. About the fire. About the way Ben always made her feel like nothing. Depo didn't say much. He just said, "Then we start again." He brought her clean sheets of paper. A new pencil. A ruler. Even a borrowed tablet from his uncle's shop so she could practice digitally. Each day after school, they walked under the mango tree. Depo helped redraw every single piece. This time, Titi added more color. More strength. And a bit of herself in every sketch. Ben passed by and said nothing. But she noticed the way he glanced. Like something he used to laugh at, now scared him. One afternoon, Depo rushed into the yard holding a flyer. It was for the City Youth Creatives Expo, hosted in the City Hall. There was a fashion design category. Winners would get a scholarship, equipment, and their designs published in a youth fashion magazine. "This is your chance," Depo said, breathless. Titi's hands shook as she held the flyer. She had never seen her dream printed like this before. Real. Open. Waiting. They worked every evening. Blessing helped with modeling poses. Depo took photos. They scanned sketches and printed mock designs. Titi submitted her entry 2 days before the deadline. The night she did, she sat by herself, praying. Not for fame. Not for revenge. But for peace. She whispered, "God, if this is not for me, take it. But if it is, please show me." The results came a week later. She didn't tell anyone at first. She read the message 3 times before the words sank in. "Congratulations. You are among the finalists. Please attend the final showcase next Friday." Her hands shook. She dropped her phone and laughed through her tears. From behind the window, Ben stared. He had seen the message on her screen. For the first time, he wasn't laughing. The day of the finals came like thunder. Titi wore a simple black dress and sandals. She didn't have makeup. She didn't have earrings. But she had something stronger, her dream. Blessing came to help her pack her sketches and tapes. Depo met them outside with his uncle's car. They drove together to the city hall, where the event was holding. The building was big and full of lights. Young people stood everywhere with cameras, books, and shiny clothes. Titi held her folder close like it was a heartbeat. Inside, she sat quietly while the host called other designers. Big names. Some wore heels higher than her dreams. Some came with fancy posters and matching shirts. When it was Titi's turn, she felt her feet go cold. But Depo squeezed her hand. "Go," he whispered. "Your future is waiting." Titi walked up slowly. She placed her drawings on the stand. She spoke softly. "My name is Titi. I call this collection Made from Ashes. Because when they burned my dreams, I built new ones." The room went quiet. The judges leaned forward. People clapped. When she stepped down, tears rolled down her cheeks, but not because of pain this time. Because this time, someone listened. After the event, strangers came to shake her hand. One woman in a purple suit asked for her phone number. A young man who ran a printing press said he wanted to sponsor her sketches. Someone from a youth magazine took photos of her drawings. Blessing danced in the parking lot. Depo grinned like he had won the prize himself. That night, they all sat outside their house, eating puff-puff and laughing. But someone else sat alone. Ben. He watched from his window. The girl he once mocked now had a crowd. The girl he called the Titi Taylor was now on flyers. He remembered the sketchbook he had torn. The names he had called her. And for the first time, he felt something he had never felt before, regret. A few days later, Titi got a message from the Young Creatives program. She opened it slowly. Her heart beat fast. "Dear Titi, congratulations. You have won the Best Young Designer Award for your Made from Ashes collection. Your scholarship covers full training, equipment, and mentorship. Please visit our office to sign the acceptance papers." She dropped the phone and screamed. Blessing rushed in. "What is it? What happened?" Titi grabbed her hand, crying and laughing. "We won. I won. It's real." Outside, neighbors gathered. Depo ran from his house and hugged her tight. Even her aunt stood by the door, shocked. She didn't say anything, just folded her hands and watched. Later that night, Ben walked up to her slowly. "Titi. I'm sorry." She looked at him. For a long time, she said nothing. Then she said, "I hope you laugh less now. And listen more." And walked away. Titi packed her bag the next week. The scholarship came with a place to stay, a sewing machine, and free lessons. Her dreams were opening, wide like a clear road. Blessing helped her fold clothes. Depo carried her files. Her aunt stood in the corner, arms crossed. As they reached the gate, Titi looked back at the house where she had cried so many nights. Then she looked ahead. A new life waited. At the door of the taxi, she hugged Blessing tight. "Thank you," she whispered. To Depo, she smiled. "You wiped my tears when others laughed. I'll never forget." The car drove off. And from the window, the city lights shone like stars, small, bright, and full of hope. Moral of the story: never mock someone's pain. The world turns. And one day, someone else may give them the love you refused. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe for more true African tales filled with pain, dreams, and healing.